a decade, Bruno Mars stayed away from full-scale stadium tours. No announcements, no long explanations, just silence, where massive tours used to be. And for a while, fans assumed that chapter of his career was over. But now, out of nowhere, Bruno Mars is back, headlining stadiums again on a global run that feels bigger, bolder, and far more intentional than anything he's done before. This isn't just another tour announcement, it's a statement. After years of selective performances, side projects, and disappearing from the touring spotlight, Bruno didn't quietly return. He came back swinging with the Romantic Tour. Stadiums, multiple continents, and a rollout that instantly had fans asking the same question. Why now? Because this comeback didn't happen by accident. And once you start looking at the timing, the album teases, and the way this tour is structured, it becomes clear. Bruno Mars didn't just come back to tour, he came back to redefine his legacy. And the story behind that decision is way more calculated than most people realize. After the massive success of the 24K Magic World Tour, Bruno Mars had every reason to keep going. The demand was there, the money was there. Stadiums would have sold out on name alone. But instead of riding that wave, he did the opposite. He stepped back. For years, Bruno avoided committing to another full stadium run, not because interest faded, but because he pulled away. He shifted his focus toward creative control, choosing moments over momentum. Fewer tours, fewer appearances, and a lot more silence than fans were used to. That silence wasn't inactivity. Behind the scenes, Bruno was experimenting, collaborating, refining. Projects like Silk Sonic weren't about scale, they were about chemistry, timing, and artistry. He traded massive tour schedules for precision moves, popping up only when it felt right, then disappearing again before things became predictable. To some fans, it looked like he was slowing down. To others, it felt intentional, like someone protecting their brand by refusing to overexpose it. And while the world kept waiting for the next big tour announcement, Bruno was quietly resetting the board. But that pause wasn't the end of the story, because while it looked like he stepped away from stadiums, he was actually preparing for something much bigger than a simple comeback. Everything shifted the moment Bruno started teasing new music again. No long captions, no dramatic announcements, just subtle hints that something personal was on the way. Then the title surfaced, The Romantic, and almost immediately fans knew this wasn't going to be another safe radio-first era. Reports claim the album leans deeper into emotion, intimacy, and storytelling. Less flash, more feeling. The kind of project artists usually make when they're done chasing charts and more interested in leaving a mark. And the way Bruno rolled it out only fueled speculation. Short teases, cryptic posts, just enough information to spark conversations without explaining anything. What really caught people's attention was how tightly the album and the tour were linked. This wasn't a case of dropping an album then touring later. The tour was part of the album's identity. Even the name, the Romantic Tour, felt deliberate, almost like an extension of the music itself rather than a separate event. Fans started connecting the dots. Some believe this album represents a more unfiltered version of Bruno, pulling from experiences he's never put front and center before. Others think it's a strategic pivot, an era designed to age well, not just trend for a season. Either way, it became clear that this album wasn't just new music. It was the reason the stadium lights were turning back on. And once the full tour details dropped, people realized just how serious Bruno was about this moment. When the tour dates finally dropped, the scale caught everyone off guard. This wasn't a short victory lap or a limited run to test the waters. The Romantic Tour was mapped out like a declaration. Nearly 6 months, dozens of shows, and some of the most iconic stadiums in the world. Bruno didn't pick random venues. We're talking places that come with pressure: Wembley Stadium, Stade de France, SoFi, MetLife. These are stages that demand presence, not just hit records. Choosing stadiums again wasn't about chasing numbers, it was about proving something. That after years away, he could still command rooms that size without relying on nostalgia. What stood out even more was the pacing. No rushed clusters of shows, no obvious burnout scheduling. Each city felt intentional, almost curated, like every stop was meant to feel like an event rather than just another night on the calendar. That alone set this tour apart from the typical fast cash stadium runs fans have grown used to. And then there was the timing. Dropping a massive stadium tour before the album even fully landed flipped the usual industry playbook. Instead of letting the music sell the tour, Bruno let the confidence sell the moment. It sent a quiet message. This era didn't need hype, it already had weight. But as impressive as the scale was, it wasn't the venues that sparked the loudest conversations online. It was who he chose to bring with him. When Bruno revealed who was joining him on the road, the reaction was immediate, not because the names were random, but because they felt intentional. Anderson .Paak wasn't listed as a typical opener. Instead, he appeared as DJ Pee Wee, a creative choice that instantly sparked conversation. Fans of Silk Sonic caught the meaning right away. This wasn't just a collaborator showing up for promo, it felt like unfinished business. Having Anderson .Paak involved blurred the line between solo Bruno and the Silk Sonic era. Some fans started speculating that select shows could include unexpected moments, maybe not full performances, but subtle nods, surprise appearances, or one-off moments designed just for the live crowd. Nothing confirmed, just enough ambiguity to keep people guessing. Then came the rotating openers: Leon Thomas, Ray, Victoria Monet. Each one respected in their own lane, each one bringing a different energy. Instead of stacking the tour with massive chart names, Bruno leaned into artists known for musicianship, vocals, and stage presence. It gave the lineup a curated feel, like the focus was on artistry rather than clout. Online buzz picked up fast. Some fans claimed this lineup signaled a more stripped-back, music-first show. Others believed Bruno was intentionally surrounding himself with artists who matched the emotional tone of the Romantic era. Either way, the choices didn't feel accidental, and they didn't feel safe. Because once you looked at the lineup closely, it became clear this tour wasn't just about performance, it was about timing. And when you factor in when this tour is happening, things start to look even more calculated. The Romantic tour isn't random, it's calculated. Bruno Mars didn't just announce a tour for the sake of filling dates. He picked a moment when momentum, visibility, and cultural impact all align perfectly. After a string of high-profile performances, Grammys, award show tributes, and collaborations with artists like Lady Gaga and Cardi B, Bruno is stepping into a window where fans old and new are paying attention. This isn't just about nostalgia. It's about reintroducing himself to a generation that may have only caught glimpses of his peak years. Stadiums packed in 2018 don't guarantee stadiums packed in 2025. But by carefully timing this return, Bruno ensures the narrative works in his favor. Each major city, each iconic venue was chosen to maximize impact. There's also a subtle marketing brilliance at play. By teasing the album before the tour, then launching a tour that spans 6 months and multiple continents, Bruno creates a sense of anticipation that builds rather than peaks instantly. Fans feel like they're part of a movement, not just attending a concert. And it's not just about appearances. Reports suggest that the tour strategically aligns with media cycles, award eligibility, and key cultural moments. In other words, every show, every city, every date feels like a calculated step towards cementing his legacy, one that balances performance, artistry, and timing perfectly. Which brings up the bigger question. If the venues, the lineup, and the timing are all so deliberate, what is this tour really aiming to accomplish? The answer might surprise you.
fans have started asking a question that's hard to ignore. Is the Romantic tour more than just a comeback? Could this be the start of a full-blown reinvention for Bruno Mars? Rumors suggest that this era might showcase a side of him the public hasn't fully seen, a more intimate, personal, and even experimental version of the superstar we thought we knew. Online speculation is already buzzing. Some believe the album The Romantic dives deeper into themes of love, reflection, and vulnerability, hinting at performances that will feel more emotional than his previous stadium shows. Others think the tour's carefully curated lineup, including Anderson .Paak and select rotating openers, signals a deliberate move toward collaboration and musical exploration, rather than just a greatest hit spectacle. Reports claim that certain cities could see surprise moments, with hints of Silk Sonic performances or special duets, adding an unpredictable element that makes every stop feel unique. Of course, none of this is confirmed, but it's enough to keep fans guessing and heighten the sense of occasion surrounding the tour. What's clear is that Bruno isn't following a formula. He's taking the long view, building anticipation and creating experiences that feel rare and intentional. Whether this is a reinvention or simply the next chapter in a meticulously planned career, one thing is certain: Bruno Mars is reminding the world why he's not just a performer, but an artist who shapes his own narrative. And as we look at the tour in full, it all leads to a bigger takeaway about what this moment really represents. At first glance, the Romantic tour might seem like a typical comeback: stadiums, hit songs, and sold-out dates. But when you step back, it's clear this is far more than just a series of concerts. Bruno Mars isn't simply performing for applause. He's orchestrating a statement. Every detail, from the timing and venues to the lineup and album connection, was carefully chosen to shape his legacy on his own terms. After nearly 10 years away from full-scale stadium tours, his return isn't about filling seats. It's about proving that absence doesn't weaken impact, and that strategy, artistry, and patience can amplify it. Bruno is reminding fans, old and new, that he's not just a performer chasing charts. He's a creator in full control of his story. In the end, the Romantic tour is more than music and spectacle. It's about timing, intention, and reinvention. It challenges the idea that success is only about constant visibility, showing instead that sometimes the quiet, calculated return leaves the most lasting impression. For Bruno Mars, this tour isn't just a comeback, it's a declaration, a reinvention, and a masterclass in how to return bigger, better, and on your own terms. Fans will leave the stadiums not only entertained, but thinking, this is Bruno Mars at the height of his craft, and he's playing by his own rules.